Right, this is the starter assembly for the XLH1000 and quite a few other Harleys of the era. I think the big twins used this thing as well. So, it's got three main chunks. This is the starter motor. This is what turns the engine. It physically turns it. This here is the solenoid. More on that later. This here is the starter clutch housing. And if we look in here, that little gear you can see there, that's the end of this starter motor. And when it turns that big gear there. Now how this happens, it's fairly complicated and it's taken me a while to work it out. I'm not really an electrical person. On the back of the solenoid, there's that 10mm one there. And that connects to this, which goes to the starter button and thence to the battery via circuit breakers, and there's probably a relay if your starters of the handlebars. This one here, so when you press the button, it kind of gets a signal through here telling it to get its act together. This big fat one here takes a 25mm wire off the battery. You'd expect this to be red, but original colours were black, and I had some black, so left over from making the earth. So it is basically earth wire, 25mm. So that gets a crimp put on the end of it, and that goes there. So it tells this thing to suck up a lot of energy from the battery and store it, because this is apparently a capacitor as well, and a capacitor stores energy for a very brief amount of time, because it's got an almighty burst of it through another 25mm. This one is red. This one, the last one of these I had caught fire, so this one is red. It's a connector to the starter motor. So it sucked up a load of things. The other thing it's done, as well as sucking up a lot of electric ready to blast the starter motor, is, let's see if I can do this with one hand. Yeah, right. That's part of the solenoid as well, that thing with a little spring on it. And when it starts, it pulls it in towards it. So this seesaws out. Believe it or not, that's actually, I think it's supposed to stay straighter, because there's, maybe not, I can't remember. Anyway, this seesaws out. And this gear here engages with the clutch. There's a big gear wheel on the edge of the clutch. The clutch turns the engine, which fires up through pixie magic, and then this goes back in, and it doesn't do anything else. All of this stuff is only involved in the starting the bike. For the rest of it, it just sits there doing absolutely nothing. Nothing turns, nothing pumps, nothing does anything. Things to watch out for: this screw here always comes undone, and you don't want that to happen. You've got quite a lot of warning though, because it's quite a long one. It goes all the way down there. It holds this seesaw business on, so it's quite important. And if it does come out completely, then you've got to get the primary drive off, which is a pain in the bum, just to have a look at it. Anything else to look at? Yes, there is this. The gear on the end of the starter motor, the little one, and the big gear on the starter clutch, that's what this thing's called, they should be fairly flush. I think there's like less than 1 mil in it on this one. For a long time mine wasn't. The reason was a rogue thrust washer, which was not supposed to be part of the deal. But those should be flush, or at least as close as makes no difference. Otherwise they will damage each other quite spectacularly. Right, cost of all this stuff, should you need to replace it. The solenoids seem to be freely available on eBay for about 30 quid. So that's good, isn't it? They're in the country. Likewise, the starter motors, original Prestolite ones, lots, hundreds. They're a serious piece of kit. They're like a generator. In fact, they're exactly like a generator, so I expect to pay generator prices. However, this is a WAI one, which is a Chinese copy, and it's under 100 quid. And that should be okay. I should mention this one's running a Prestolite armature, because the aforementioned problems with those gears not meshing meant it wrecked the original armature, It's that bearing there is a little bit of a loose fit on the inside, so I'm probably going to get another one of these. These are designed to be a direct replacement, a bolt-on replacement, but as I've found, if you take them apart, the parts are not completely interchangeable. The tolerances are slightly different. It's not that one's better and one's worse, it's that they're just slightly different. So, like I say, I'm running an armature from Prestolite in there, but the bearing's a bit of a loose fit on the end. The other bearing that was available out of the two was incredibly tight, would not go on all the way, and needed a 3-leg puller to remove. So that wasn't going to happen. Just go over, this is the back end of, well, this, I don't know, it's one end of it. Just go over again, just because it's something I found very confusing early on, where these go. With this bolted in, and there's only one way it can bolt in, the bottom one goes to the starter motor. The top fat one, because you'll be looking at it like that, the top fat one goes to the battery, and that 10mm one there, probably a black wire, but it goes to the either directly to the starter button if it's close by, but more likely to the starter button relay if it's on the handlebars. That's the official wiring. And I think that's everything I can tell you, as far as I can guess, about the starter motors on these things. Cheerio.